a lot of people don't know about like 300 and something thousand children.
375,000 kids were lost.
375,000 children were lost.
These are kids that came across the border without their parents.
Without their parents.
Yeah, and why were they crossing the border? Some of them were, owned by the cartel, and they were being sent up. They're young, maybe 14-year-old kids who were being sent up to work. Some of them were being sex trafficked. Some of them were anchors so that they could come, and then their parents would come later. But there was a lot of different reasons people were sending kids across. When they got to the border, they would be detained by my agency. They'd be detained by the Border Patrol, then handed to my agency, which is HHS, which has a division called the Refugees and Resettlement. And my agency was in front of them. The head of that agency, Xavier Becerra, who's now the front runner for governor in California, let me explain what happened. During the Trump administration, Trump deported a lot of people. And the Democrats said, "Oh, you're keeping kids in cages," which that agency was. They were keeping them in, jail cells, and which is what the detention looked like. And so, when Biden came in, he said, "I don't want anybody accusing me of keeping kids in cages. So as soon as we get them, let's release them to whoever comes." So these people were coming to pick them up and saying, "I'm the parent." One guy pretended to be the parent of 42 children, picked everyone out. We have no idea what happened to those kids. Why did a guy need 42 children who were completely unrelated to him? There was no validation, no verification, no attempt to see who it was who was taking the kid. They lost track of 375,000 kids. We're now finding them. We found about 137,000 of them, but a lot of them you just can't find. There was about 60 kids who were sent to one address. When we looked at that address, it was a container, a steel container in the middle of a parking lot. And that's what the Biden administration was doing. It was just allowing these sex traffickers and other kind of traffickers. A lot of them were sent to work at slaughterhouses and picking fruits in the fields and doing these other kind of
slaves.
They were slaves. And so we stopped that. Now everybody who comes in has to validate the relationship. We DNA test them to make sure they're related to that kid.
Right.
We check their employment records. We check their salaries, what they got in the bank. We check their driver's license, and nobody gets a kid unless we know that is the kid's parent or relative.
Good job.
None of that was done during the Biden administration, and it's a huge, huge tragedy. They became the biggest child trafficker in the world. My agency was the single biggest child trafficker in the world, and it was all from Xavier Becerra.